Clemson Hotline is on the air, a one-hour talk show giving Clemson fans a power hour of Tiger sports talk. Clemson Hotline is presented by y'all.com and brought to you by Amtrak. Clemson Hotline is direct from Tiger Country on a network of radio stations across the great state of South Carolina, and as always, a podcast edition of our show is available for download in iTunes. Hello, everyone. I'm Lawton Swann. Welcome back into the program. Another exciting edition of the Clemson Hotline. Sunday nights, 9 p.m., we kick things off live. We've got some guests in the chat room already, plus Chansi Stuckey will join us at 9:15 to talk a little bit about Clemson, but a whole lot about the situation up at Rutgers with Coach Mike Rice. And are those things, or former Coach Mike Rice, thank goodness, and are those things maybe more prevalent in college sports than one might think? We've got a whole lot to get to. I hope some more people will join us in the chat room. Let's see, no Walking Dead this evening, but I believe WrestleMania 29. They try to stack the cards against us here on the show each and every week. No matter what we do, perhaps most of our audience right now is watching the American Country Music Awards. I think those are on tonight as well. But whatever you do, you can't stop us. You can just hope to contain us. We'll be back with more Clemson Hotline right here on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck, because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal balance in women over 40 so you can finally lose the weight, and all of the other menopause symptoms simply go away. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. That's 1-800-851-8111.
A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about services offered by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC, visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate or reach them by phone 864-517-3620 or 864-517-3621.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
Hey there, Tiger fans. When you take yourself out to the ball game, make sure that you're staying at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. That's right, it's the closest hotel to Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Lakeside accommodations, complimentary continental breakfast bar with waffles, the Seasons by the Lake restaurant, Joe's Place Bar, and the Walker Golf Course are all waiting for you right around the corner from Doug Kingsmore Stadium. For reservations, contact General Manager Sharon Franks at sharonf@clemson.edu or call 1-888-654-9020 and ask to speak to Sharon. Buy yourself some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, but make sure that you stay at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn.
The 1988 season was a great year for the Clemson Tigers, finishing 10-2 with a win over Oklahoma in the Citrus Bowl. But it was a better year for Clemson fans. That season, Tigertown Graphics became your source for custom tees, promotional items, and embroidery. Conveniently located in the heart of downtown Clemson, their retail store proudly displays Clemson shirts that are designed and printed directly on site. Whether you're looking for the latest Clemson t-shirts or ordering products for your school, organization, or business, Tigertown Graphics can help with all of your t-shirt needs. Find them online at www.tigertowngraphics.com. A Clemson tradition since 1988.
Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. Hashtag TN Talk is the way you can get to us on Twitter. We're at Clemson Sports. Follow us. We bring you Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Email us, clemson81@gmail.com. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. The Clemson Tiger baseball team went on the road this past weekend to the winless in conference Boston College Eagles. Went to play up there in Chestnut Hill. The Eagles now are 5-25 after the sweep by the Clemson Tigers. They dropped to 0-14 in Atlantic Coast Conference play. And for Clemson Tiger fans, it was a little bit antsy Friday as the Tigers trailed early. But in the second start of the season, junior Joe Costigan totaled a career-high 3 RBIs and capped the Tigers' 6-run 7th inning with a 3-run double. The Tigers win at 7-5 after trailing 2-0 early, all the way up into, I believe it was the 6th inning, the Tigers trailed. And you could get a sense of, on TigerNet, you could get the feeling that people were very concerned. You can't go on the road, no matter what you expect of your baseball team in this season. You cannot, by any way, shape, or form, go on the road and lose to Boston College. And even dropping one game would have been bad enough. But the Tigers found a way to get the job done. Saturday, in Game 2, the Clemson wins that one 9-2. The Tigers scored 4 runs in the first inning, cruised to a 9-2 victory over Boston College. That's the way you want to handle business. I really like the way that Clayton Schmidt pitched this ball game. He earned the win. A career-high 7 innings for him. The Clemson Tiger pitchers this weekend were very, very good. They gave a whole lot to this team, including in Sunday's win, which was a 1-0 win. Matthew Crownover, once again, coming off of that off-season surgery. Crownover 4-0. Pitched a career long as well, 6 1/3 inning. Matt Campbell also came on board. They combined to pitch a 4-hit shutout for a 1-0 win. The Tigers finally broke through in the 6th inning. Steven Duggar grounded a 1-out single up the middle, and Tyler Krieger blooped a single to left center. John McGibbon followed that up with a single through the right side to score Duggar and advance Krieger to third. So the Tigers there with a 1-0 victory. After McGibbon moved over on a wild pitch bomb and Triller both struck out, so they left some runners in scoring position, but found a way. And give this team a little bit of credit because they did go on the road in an environment that's basically non-existent. I don't think they played in front of more than 1,500 people at any point in this entire series. And, you know, when you go into a venue like that, somewhere where there's maybe not any atmosphere, it can be quite difficult. It can be very difficult, in fact, for you to find a way to pull things together, especially when you're so used to playing in an environment like you might play in the Doug Kingsmore Stadium, like you might play in at Carolina Stadium in Columbia. This is little to no environment. It's like playing at an old ballpark when you're playing Pee-wee baseball and there's 7 people in the crowd. And that's how bad it can be. It's just one of those weird scenarios. But the Tigers found a way, 1-0. They sweep the series. And at College Swag 21, Chris on Twitter, his handle is at College Swag. He said, I think Clemson's finally hitting their stride after that win against North Carolina. And I said, whoa, Chris, not so fast, my friend. it might say something that Clemson didn't lose a game to Boston College. That probably means more than the fact that Clemson won games. Because beating them isn't that big of a deal, but not losing to them is a very, very big deal. So, all in all, right now, the Clemson Tiger baseball team with upcoming games against Western Carolina on Tuesday at 6 o'clock and Presbyterian on Wednesday at 6:30, plus a weekend series at Wake Forest, have a chance to continue this winning streak through next weekend. I think the possibility exists that the Clemson Tigers could sweep Wake Forest as well. This team isn't, they're not supremely talented by any means, but they're definitely coming together at the right time. I think if you were to ask Coach Leggett, Coach, how do you feel about your team right now? He would tell you they're coming together. They're figuring things out finally, and that makes you feel a lot better about this team as they move forward. They were young. The pitching staff had to step up. They've done that thus far. And the Tigers, really, when you look at the Atlantic Coast Conference records, they're right there in the Atlantic Division behind Florida State. They're neck and neck with the Seminoles. Most of the power right now is over in the Coastal Division. So if you're a Clemson Tiger fan, all you can ask for is to stay within striking distance for that final series against Florida State at the end of the year at this point. I don't think you can say, hey, we need to be ahead of Florida State. I don't think that's a realistic goal or a realistic expectation. But if you can get into that series, a game behind, maybe 2 games behind, and find a way, you've got your opportunities. At least you're not, say, NC State or Miami, 2 fan bases who had very good expectations this year, whose teams aren't playing so well. Clemson can't, though, drop those midweek games. This game on the road at Cullowhee against Western Carolina, that's big. And you might say, how is that possibly a big ball game? Western Carolina has the ability to beat this Clemson team. When you look across the state of South Carolina and North Carolina, you're going to find great baseball programs. Lots of kids end up at these schools who you've never heard of, and they come in and they're ready to play against the Clemsons of the world. The name on the front of the jersey isn't going to scare Western Carolina. The Catamounts will not be worried at all. Presbyterian's going to come to Doug Kingsmore Stadium on Wednesday. They're going to be looking for a win as well. But for this weekend in Chestnut Hill, the Tigers were the champions, and hopefully that'll continue through these 5 games coming up this week. Stay with us. Chansi Stuckey joins us right here on the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
I love Game 7. Bring on the competition. 'Cause in my heart, can't nobody do it better. Can't slow me down, won't stop me, never.
All right, thank you for being here. We're going to punch Chansi through the board, and then we'll get rolling with that segment. So you're going to have some dead air here for just a few seconds. Stick with us.
This is an Ice Cube message. From you to you, tell them Cube. You better. Check it out. And this time we go coast to coast and rhyme to rhyme. That's right. Now with no further ado, yo Cube, tell them what they gotta do.
You better check yourself. That's right. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Coming up in to the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swann. Thank you so much for being here with us. Chansi Stuckey One of our favorite guests joins us once again. Chansi, I didn't think you were going to be able to make it, but you got in early. You're able to be here. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Follow him on Twitter. He's at Chansi Stuckey. And I noticed, man, you're verified. So how does that happen? I mean, do you have like an agent that gets that done? I mean, can I become verified on Twitter?
Hey, Lawton, you got to know somebody, man. You got to know some people. I actually got verified through a friend of mine at the Bad Boy Recording Studio, so kind of knew some people in New York and got it done. So I'm all good right now. I'm about to
tell a story that I don't tell too often about the Bad Boy Mixtape Volume 2. When I finished my first year of college, I didn't have the greatest GPA, and my dad, who's conveniently listening, so I'll go ahead and tell this story, had me work at a factory making Coke machines during the summer. I sung the Bad Boy Mixtape Volume 2 about 10 million times that summer in my head. That's all I did on the assembly line. And I soon realized that I wanted to get my education, that working on the assembly line was not for me.
Was not what it was, huh?
It was definitely not what it was all cracked up to be. But Chansi, thank you for coming in. I know you give great insights into the Clemson Tiger football team, but this is something that I wanted to talk about. We talk 99.9% of the time about Clemson sports, but I think this Mike Rice situation at Rutgers ties into Clemson and it ties into college sports in general. And we've seen, again, another athletic director perhaps trying to protect this coach, trying to protect the brand of their university. And I just wonder, and I wonder how you feel about this, is there a lot of concern that this type of nonsense is going on elsewhere in college sports and we just don't know about it?
It is very disturbing, first off, to see the situation that Mike Rice put the university and he put the players in, because as a player, when a young guy comes in and he sees an older guy taking that kind of abuse, he thinks that's the nature of the program, that if he wants to be a player at Rutgers, that he needs to go along with that same thing. So it kind of confused some of the guys who were there. And I don't know if it really goes on everywhere around, but I think it does happen more than we think about.
Well, I can give you a prime example. In high school, I played basketball, and I've seen a coach throw a ball at somebody's head, but it was in a certain circumstance, not necessarily his head, but maybe the back of his head and neck, and that was when he was teaching the young man to not turn his head and make sure he's keeping his eye on the ball and his man. Ball man, see ball, see man. And whenever somebody'd get lost, if you were just looking like you didn't know what was going on, you might get hit in the back, with that basketball. Never bothered me. It wasn't an abusive throw. It was a lesson to say, hey, you know what? Look, this is what happens when you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. But these throws that we were seeing from Mike Rice were just abusive and indefensible in my mind. And yet I continue to hear people on the radio saying, this was the old school way. That's how my head coach did it. And I just found it to be disturbing that people thought any of that was okay.
It's a different age and a different time right now. Like back in the day, that might have been okay, but because people weren't paying as close attention. Now with social media and the way everything has transformed with with him saying the homophobic slurs and throwing the ball and pushing the kids and being so confrontational and so physical, that's just not the way things are done today.
If he was winning, you think he'd still have a job?
I have two things. If would it be the same if it was a football coach doing the same thing?
Oh, that's a great point.
If he was winning, would that be the same situation? I think in both cases, both circumstances, it would be a different story. It would not so much the coach may be gone, but I think Tim Pernetti would still be there. Not both the people leaving. One would be there and one would be gone.
I think the most disappointing thing for me that I saw out of the whole incident, the derogatory comments were bad. But there was one moment, and this is something that nobody brings up. You can talk about him throwing the ball at people's feet, the ball at people's backs. When he kicks this kid who's out on the perimeter, I don't know if the kid made a bad pass. I don't remember what it was. He just kicks the kid. I mean, I thought to myself, can you imagine if teachers were just kicking students? Could you imagine if your boss, when you walked into the office and you filed some paperwork wrong, it just walked up and kicked you? I mean, they're out of a job immediately. And this was on tape. And the biggest problem that I probably have with it all coming out, though, was that Eric Murdoch had this stuff and didn't do anything about it until after he was relieved of his duty, which is questionable of his character in my mind. But nonetheless, I mean, how ugly is that? And have you ever seen coaches on the football field physically assault a kid the way you saw that?
I've never seen anyone personally assault someone on the football field of that caliber, but football's a different story. We have bigger guys. It's a physical game, and guys have to be challenged sometimes like that. Not to that extent, but coaches push buttons for guys to get motivated, and that usually works. And I think what Mike Rice forgot was that these kids that he's hitting and he's talking down to, those are someone's children.
Oh, yeah.
How would those parents feel if someone was doing that to his kids? And I think a lot of parents were really, really upset with the way, finding that out, that their children were in this type of situation.
Well, the Clemson Tiger football team, and we'll switch gears a little bit, they're getting ready for the spring game this coming weekend. I know Tiger fans everywhere are excited about that. You and I have had plenty of conversations in recent weeks about it, and we want to talk a little Final Four, too, as well before we get you out of here, and we'll do that after the break. But before we go to the commercial break, I want to talk to you a little bit about this team and the play or the expectations coming into spring practice. You look right now, and you've got Sammy Watkins moving to the boundary, and there's a lot of talk about how that might help this Clemson Tiger team, especially Sammy Watkins with his numbers. From a wide receiver's perspective, talk to the fans about how that would make a difference from him going to the boundary wide receiver position from playing that field spot that he played his first 2 seasons.
It's going to make a big difference for Sammy because I think he will get more one-on-one coverage. With the rotation usually going to the field, the help will come from inside with a linebacker or a safety who's not as athletic as a cornerback coming down trying to get underneath the routes of Sammy. But he will have the chance to beat people more over the top and more on the post patterns as opposed to being to the field where a lot of the times the quarterback doesn't look all the time. So the boundary is an area that the quarterback looks first because it's closer, it's more of a one-on-one situation, and it's an easier throw usually for the quarterback.
Now, when you think about Sammy Watkins and how physical he's going to need to be this season, and I'm not saying he's lacked physicality in his career because I think especially during his freshman year, a couple of ball games and a few plays really stand out. A great play against Florida State where he just beat his defender with a nice move. Obviously more about the swim move that he put on him there and the techniques used to kind of get some separation. But in the last year we didn't see a whole lot of that from him, and we really saw a guy like DeAndre Hopkins with extreme talent and timing going up and catching the football. Can you expect to see some of that same stuff from Sammy Watkins this year? I mean, do you think we're going to see that same explosiveness off the ground and maybe get up and catch some of those jump balls?
Well, Sammy and DeAndre are two totally different receivers. DeAndre is more of a possession guy that needs to jump up, and he's not going to run by a lot of guys, so he needs to catch that ball in traffic. And he does a phenomenal job of high pointing the ball, and he's too physical at the line of scrimmage for guys to really get his hand on him. So Sammy is a different guy. Guys are going to try to come up and press him because they're afraid of his speed. So most guys, 9 out of 10 guys that Sammy's going to play, he's going to be 5 yards faster than. So those guys are going to try to come up and get Sammy, but most of Sammy's plays are going to be over-the-shoulder catches, in routes, catching them in stride and making guys miss. So he's a different type of receiver than DeAndre. So most of his stuff will be over the shoulder and down the field.
Now, do you find it odd that you have a lot of people saying that you're going to have to see Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins get back in rhythm? I mean, it's strange because those two seemed so in sync just a few short years ago, and then last year it was almost like Taj really got dialed in with Hopkins, and now you hear from Chad Morris, hey, these guys are going to have to dedicate themselves in the offseason to get that time and to get everything down, plus the move for Sammy Watkins to the boundary. Does that surprise you that we're hearing that?
It does, because honestly, from a receiver and quarterback standpoint, and I know Taj and Sammy, they know they're not out of sync. It was just a situation where DeAndre was having such a phenomenal year, and Sammy was in and out of the lineup. So a lot of the time they would just go to DeAndre because he was so clutch. But I don't think Sammy and Taj are out of sync right now. So they'll hit the ground rolling against Georgia.
Chansi Stuckey here with us on the Clemson Hotline. Chansi's going to stay on through the break, and we're going to talk with him a little bit more about the Clemson Tigers. We're going to talk to him about the Final Four, or at least now down to the Final Two. Wichita State, though, man, that team Love to watch them play. And then Mark in the chat room's got a comment about his time playing soccer at Clemson. We'll get to all that and more right here on the Clemson Hotline. Stay with us, Tiger fans.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's being there for my customers.
It's lending a hand at any hour.
And it's having my coworkers' backs day or night.
You work hard to earn your money, and we're here to help you keep more of it. TurboTax has experts available to answer your questions by phone or live chat, so you get the answers you need and every penny you deserve. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Try it free at TurboTax.com. Live tax help service is subject to availability, restrictions, and change without notice. See TurboTax.com for details.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft-touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors coming soon to many fine retailers across the state, or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
That's the sound of Selsun Science wiping out dandruff. Introducing Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Feel it get to the root of dandruff and gently whisk scalp irritation away with soothing vitamins B5, E, and essential oils. Now when you style your hair, it feels oh so good to the touch. New Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Science for your scalp. Use as directed.
Hey there, Tiger fans. When you take yourself out to the ball game, make sure that you're staying at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. That's right, it's the closest hotel to Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Lakeside accommodations, complimentary continental breakfast bar with waffles, the Seasons by the Lake restaurant, Joe's Place Bar, and the Walker Golf Course are all waiting for you right around the corner from Doug Kingsmore Stadium. For reservations, contact General Manager Sharon Franks at sharonf@clemson.edu or call 1-888-654-9020 and ask to speak to Sharon. Buy yourself some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, but make sure that you stay at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus.
Christy Lane has touched the hearts of millions through her #1 biography and song, One Day at a Time.
I cried a tear.
Christy sings all your favorites.
You wiped it dry. I could fly higher than an eagle.
Christy Lane's new special, 59 Timeless Classics.
For you are the wind beneath my wing. I believe in angels. Something good in everything I see.
Call now for these 59 classics by Christy Lane. You get country, gospel, pop. Plus new songs on 3 CDs, less than half price, only $14.99 plus shipping.
That's 1-800-617-1886. 1-800-617-1886. For Christy Lane, it's 1-800-617-1886.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove. Chansi Stuckey with us here on the Clemson Hotline. Thank you so much. Sunday nights at 9. Of course, Wednesday nights at 9, TigerNet Talk for you. And you can get all the shows, backlogged episodes, whatever you want at ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Tweet to us. We're at Clemson Sports. We're not verified. We don't know anybody at Bad Boy Records, but maybe one day we will. One day that's our hope that we'll know somebody at Bad Boy Records and we'll become verified. But you can still tweet to us and we can still tweet. That doesn't mean we can't do that. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Atlantic Coast Conference as we transition our conversation with Chansi Stuckey into the Final Four. And Jay Billis made a comment about the ACC and their Final Four slump being a cause for concern. Now, you got to go back to the 2010 season with Duke getting to the Final Four is the last time that there was an Atlantic Coast Conference team in the Final Four. But you and I, when we were talking off the air, we said the same thing. Jay Billis, what are you talking about? Syracuse and Louisville are coming into the ACC. I would say that the ACC was just a couple of plays here or there away from having an all Atlantic Coast Conference Final Two this year.
As I agree. See what's happened. The ACC has been so good that we've set a standard that's so high that if it's only been 3 years since there hasn't been anyone in the Final Four, and people are just like, what's happened to the ACC? Granted, it has been down, but now with the addition of Syracuse and Louisville and a couple other teams, the ACC should be right back where it was in the upper echelon of college basketball.
Now, obviously, you had a chance to watch those games this weekend, Chansi, and I tell you what, both of them were fantastic. But I talked to my sister when Wichita State was up 11 points with about, I don't remember if it was 12 or 13 minutes to play in that ball game, and she could not believe it because she hadn't followed any of the game. Now, she loves basketball, but she was out and busy and didn't know. She thought for sure it was going to be a slaughter. Were you surprised at how good Wichita State played against Louisville, who I think many people have assumed has been the best team in the country all year?
Well, I wasn't surprised at all because if you get to that point, get past the Elite Eight, and you're in the Final Four, you have to be a well-coached, well-balanced, our football basketball team playing really, really well. And they were such monsters on the offensive board and on the defensive board. They were just, it shows above Louisville in that area. But the difference was Louisville knows how to win a long game, and Wichita State wasn't quite there and understanding how to keep a lead in such a big game.
I tell you what, it's one of those things where when you look at the teams and early on in the game, the Wichita States, the smaller teams are always playing like they have nothing to lose. Like they have nothing to lose. And then in the final few minutes of a game, in the final 4 or 5 minutes, it's almost like they realize, oh my gosh, this is happening. And when that happens, that's when all of a sudden you have them begin to falter and to make the mistakes that they hadn't made, such as the turnovers that they had in this ball game. But I'm going to tell you what, they've got some players on that Wichita State team. Clean Anthony Early, the forward for them. I was looking at the tournament a couple of weeks ago saying, where are the NBA players? Who are the next level guys? Clean Anthony Early is not only a next level guy, I thought he was the best player in the game.
Yeah, I agree. You always have a couple guys who kind of show really what they are when the tournament comes, and he was that guy this year that came onto the scene and really played like he belonged on the court in the Final Four and belongs in the NBA.
Now, looking at this final matchup of the year, and the basketball season really did go by fast. I thought, as difficult as it was covering Clemson because of the season they had, I really thought the year went by pretty quickly. But Michigan and Louisville, it's an intriguing matchup. I think a lot of people are excited to see it. One, because Michigan has really come out of nowhere to be the best team in the tournament. I think they've played better probably than anybody else in every single ball game. But their team, Mitch McGary, I tell you what, for a big man, he runs the court nice. He dropped a little no-look dime. It was a little ugly, but it got the job done. I really, he took advantage of what Syracuse offers against that 2-3 zone. I really think, though, that he's going to be the big key in this ball game for Michigan, because if he can play a double-double style game, I think they'll really have a chance. They seem to be able to shoot the ball pretty well from the outside. And Louisville didn't show me against Wichita State that they could dominate on the inside like many people thought they would.
Yeah, the key to this game, I think, Law, is going to be Louisville's defense versus Michigan's offense. Louisville is first in the nation in defensive efficiency, and Michigan is first in offensive efficiency. So this game is going to come down to their defense and their offense. And with Hardaway and Berg not shooting very well, just 5 of 24 from the field last night, it's going to be really, really hard for them to win if they don't play well.
And Ding for Louisville, I mean, he's going to probably be the guy matching up with McGary, and he doesn't really give you anything offensively. He's so raw. I mean, he's a great defensive, specimen out on the court, block shots, he can rebound. He runs the floor okay. I don't think he runs the floor as good as McGary, but those two are going to be going head-to-head. And I think finally, for so many years, this game has become so guard-controlled game. And this may end up being one because of the up-tempo nature that Louisville likes to play. But I think we might have a nice little center matchup going on. I don't think there'll be much scoring from Ding on his end, but it might come down to that battle that decides it.
It really might. But I think the X factor in this game is going to be Trey Burke. He's only been averaging 13.8 points per game on 23 of 71 shooting. And that's only grading out to 32% from the field. So
right.
If he's going to be the Naismith Player of the Year, he has to play like he has to step up, have a 20-plus, 5 or 6 game, and I think Michigan will come out on top if he's able to play that way.
And he didn't play very, very good at all in that semifinal game. 1 for 8 from the floor, 1 for 4 from the three-point line, a disappointing performance. And maybe some of that was the fact that he had just been named that Naismith Player of the Year, like you said. Maybe some of that was, in his head. I can only imagine what it's like to feel like you got to go out there and put it out there on the line in the, I guess what would be now the next to biggest game he's played in his entire career. Mark in the chat room says when he was playing soccer at Clemson, we're going to switch back into our talk about coaches in the Mike Rice situation. Coach Adair was a hard coach and yelled and cussed. He never fired a ball at us, and he never called us a homophobic slur. Coach Rice is a terrible example and should have been fired a long time ago. Thank you, Mark. I think you're absolutely right, Chansi. I don't think there's any disagreeing that when we come full circle and look back at this Mike Rice situation, those types of things from this point forward, if you're the athletic director, you have to get rid of these guys. You've seen it at Penn State. You've seen it now at Rutgers. When you don't get rid of these guys, when you try to protect them, the only thing you're doing is costing yourself your job.
Absolutely. That's the biggest mistake that Tim Pernetti made was not firing Mike Rice the first time that he learned of the video. And now, we come full circle, and now this came to bite him in the tail.
And you were telling me during the break that apparently we've got about a minute and a half before we got to get out of here, and I didn't even realize this. I hadn't seen the article about Eric Murdoch, who I said I thought that was kind of scandalous about him when he puts the information out. Apparently now the FBI investigating him because of blackmail, potentially, of blackmailing Rutgers University earlier in the year. That's awful.
It's terrible. He supposedly had his lawyer speak to some official at the university and ask for $950,000 to keep quiet and not show the video in December when Mike Rice first got in trouble. And that's just, it's horrible. A guy that's played in the NBA for that many years just to come out and try to do something like that to the university, try to do it for his own personal gain. And the people who are affected are the kids and the future recruits who want to come to the university. So it's just tainting the whole entire Rutgers organization.
Excellent point, Chansi. Hey, man, thank you so much for your time. Follow him on Twitter. He's at Chansi Stuckey, and he's verified. Chansi, we'll see you real soon, my man.
All right, thanks, partner. See you soon. See you, fans. All
right, Chansi Stuckey always stopping by the program. We do appreciate him doing that and look forward to talking with him real soon. Well, in honor of the CMAs or whatever the country music awards that are going on, we'll go out to a little old school. Little Charlotte, she's a cutie. She was swinging. We'll be right back.
Down the hill, we so turned up. Rock the rock, hit the field, no competition, we first up. Offense is too fast, defense ain't scared, boy. Line up against me, we drop you on your head, boy. Death Valley be jumping, whole stadium pumping. Best fans in the whole nation, and damn right we love them. C-L-E-M-S-O-N, we Clemson, we ballin', we all in.
Yeah, this Saturday, April the 13th, it's the spring game, the game formerly known as the Orange and White game, and there will be Tiger fans in Tigerland. Oh, clap your hands for the Tiger fans. They call me the Big Orange Tiger football fan. Glad to be here with you. Lawton Swann, your host at Clemson Sports. Email is clemson81@gmail.com. 803-450-0086 if you want to comment. And don't forget, 803-450-0086 888-866-86. Do not forget, that number's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You tell me the sports program that offers you that. Yeah, one, this show. Also, if you go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com, leave a voicemail feature. You don't even need to have a phone anymore, people. Just an internet connection. If you're connected to the web, you can be a part of the program. And this weekend, we had a big push on Facebook, a huge push on Facebook to try and get to 500 likes. That was our goal. And we're going to give away 3 shirts. We're not going to do that right now. I got to go back in and do some tabulating and figure out who our winners are going to be. We got up to 410 likes. Not bad. We had 186 shares of our post. So go to Facebook.com/Clemson Sports Talk if you haven't done this yet and share our post. This post was seen by 23,824 Tiger fans. And only 186 of you shared it. So we have virtually 186, almost 200 people who are into running for one of our shirts. And we're going to give away 3 shirts to those lucky people. So get that taken care of soon, and you can still get yourself in the mix. Speaking of in the mix, Zach Brooks, running back, #1 player in Arkansas just 2 seasons ago, comes to Clemson, is an electrifying player, a guy who can take the ball to the house at any time. When I talk about the questions that I have coming in to the season, when I talk about the questions that I have for this team, we know Roderick McDowell is going to be an outstanding running back. We at least believe he will be able to carry the load. You have to believe from what you've seen from DJ Howard that there is a capable, gruesome twosome back there behind Taj Boyd in that pistol formation. But the question that I've had and the thing that I've really been
wanting to talk to you about something.
Wanting to talk to you about is Zach Brooks. Because I think of everybody on this Clemson Tiger offense right now, he is the guy. He is the guy. Some may say Jamon Hopper. that reminds me of how my Hopper kind of reminds me how my Aunt Tot said the word Harper, but it's Hopper. I think those 2 guys are the most electric offensive players outside of Sammy Watkins that we have on the team. Now, when you're talking about the guy, though, behind the line of scrimmage who you're handing it off to, I mean, Clemson tried to obviously utilize Sammy Watkins in that role against LSU, and I don't think you're going to see that anymore after he got rolled up on by Barkevious Mingo. But electrifying guys out of the backfield is probably going to be Zach Brooks. And one of the main questions I have coming into the spring game is, what will his role look like after we see him Saturday? And how impactful will Clemson fans feel about his play coming out of spring practice? Because you're always going to have those questions about your program. You're always going to wonder who's going to be that next guy who we can count on to make a man miss and cause trouble for somebody. And while Sammy Watkins is going to be that guy to some degree out on the boundary, who is it going to be at running back? And it's not to say that Roderick McDowell, and it's not to say that DJ Howard can't pull that off. I think they can. I think they have that type of talent. But when it comes down to who's really got that elite breakaway speed out of all those guys, I truly think it's Zach Brooks. And as a sophomore out of Jonesboro, Arkansas, what can he do this year? That'll be one of the main questions I think I'm looking for. I remember last year going into the spring camp. I'd love to know what you're thinking about. And I hope nobody else's video is breaking up. I see RC Sports Card in the chat room saying that my video is breaking up. I certainly hope it's not. If it is, I apologize. The YouTube version of the show will be crispy clean. But I remember going into the spring game last year thinking to myself, how much of this pistol formation are we going to see? And as I sat there beside David Hood in the press box, I turned to him, I said, David, we've seen 98% of the pistol formation. 98%. And then you saw it over and over during the season. So I think it's going to be a fair litmus test to see about Zach Brooks. Secondly, who's going to be that target that Taj will look to after he checks down off of Sammy Watkins? Will it be one of the tight ends, one of the up-and-coming tight ends? Sam Cooper's shown that he can play. The expectation is that J.J. McCullough and Jordan Leggett are going to be in the mix this year. Jordan Leggett's the kid who you continue to hear about. Will it be a tight end? Will it be a Martavis Bryant? Sharon Peake? Adam Humphries? Who do we feel like coming out of spring camp is that next level target for Taj Boyd? That guy who, when Taj is dropping back, you would say last year, oh man, get the ball to Sammy, get the ball to Nuke. Now, after you say get the ball to Sammy, who's that guy? And who is that guy that Taj Boyd really becomes most comfortable with? That's another intriguing question we've got coming into Saturday. And we're going to talk a lot more about this on Wednesday night's TigerNet Talk, obviously. We'll have David Hood on the program as well. Hopefully, nothing will come up for him and he'll be able to join us. But it's one of those things that you could talk about how explosive Clemson has been. You could talk about how good and how great the numbers have been for a kid like Taj Boyd the past couple of seasons. I mean, you're talking about in 2 years throwing for 7,724 yards and 69 touchdowns. And last year he rushed for 10 touchdowns as well, more than all but 4 Atlantic Coast Conference players. You know, he's become a truly elite quarterback, not just because of how good he has been throwing the football down the field, but keeping his weight down, he's made himself a tremendous threat running the football. We've got a whole lot more questions as we approach the spring game. We're going to talk about a few more of those, and then we talked a little bit about other teams outside of Clemson. Let's give some respect to some of our Olympic sports. We're going to talk Clemson Tiger tennis for a minute. Stay with us, Tiger fans.
Excuse me if I sing a little loud.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote. 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal balance in women over 40 so you can finally lose the weight. And all of the other menopause symptoms simply go away. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-851-8111. That's 1-800-851-8111.
A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. put the knowledge and skills of professional, licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about the forestry and real estate services offered by Cross Creek Timber, call 864-517-3620 and Cross Creek Realty, LLC at 864-517-3621. Or visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate. Hey there, Tiger fans. When you take yourself out to the ball game, make sure that you're staying at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. That's right, it's the closest hotel to Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Lakeside accommodations, complimentary continental breakfast bar with waffles, the Seasons by the Lake restaurant, Joe's Place Bar, and the Walker Golf Course are all waiting for you right around the corner from Doug Kingsmore Stadium. For reservations, contact General Manager Sharon Franks at sharonf@clemson.edu or call 1-888-654-9020 and ask to speak to Sharon. Buy yourself some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, but make sure that you stay at the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. That's right, Clemson Tiger fans. It's almost time. The spring game this Saturday, 4 p.m. kickoff, April the 13th. The Clemson Tigers and spring practices are almost completely wrapped up. Those things fly by. There's a couple of practices left, April the 8th, the 10th, and the 11th.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Practice, man. I mean, how silly is that?
What are we talking about? We talking about practice? Real quick, I don't have much time. The Clemson Tigers men's tennis team and head coach Chuck McEwen got to feel good after they won all 6 singles matchups against North Carolina in a 6-1 victory on the road. The Clemson Tigers are now, I believe, the 19th ranked team in the country. They're sure to move up after that victory. North Carolina not playing very good. The first time the Tigers have defeated the Tar Heels since the 2005 season, and the first time Clemson has swept all 6 singles matches since 1989, 24 years ago. We have listeners much younger than that. Unfortunately, none of those young listeners are with us right now. The Clemson women's team also had a big victory this weekend at Duke as they upset the number 6 ranked Blue Devils. The Clemson Tigers women's team is the 16th ranked team in the country. And how about the Clemson women's volleyball team? They defeated South Carolina 3-1 this past Friday night in a spring exhibition. So down go the Gamecocks. We all love that, don't we? I think we could all get down with that concept. Anyway, don't fret. We'll be back next week, but more importantly, Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. I know this hour flew by. I don't know how it does. I apologize for the middle of the program, not for Chansi Stuckey by any means. That was great. Having Chansi Stuckey on is always great, but for the fact that we didn't talk 100% Clemson Tiger sports. But I can't claim to talk 99%, 98, 99% of Clemson Tiger sports if at some point I don't veer off course just a little bit. So we had to do it in the honor of the Final Four, and hopefully one day in April, we'll be talking about the Clemson Tiger men's basketball team and their march towards the Final Four. That would feel good, and maybe their march towards the national championship. Hard to believe that Wichita State has been to the Final Four 2 times in their history. Clemson, well, we'll just say we went to the Elite Eight once. How's that for some Tiger basketball pride? Thank you so much for being here. Guess what? You can watch the show on DirecTV as well. What channel? Well, you'll have to go to the search. Search for L Swann Media. That's ELSWANN and there will be another episode of Clemson Hotline or TigerNet Talk. And our graphics below look crispy. We put it on Twitter the other day. Thank you so much for being here with us. And as always, until next time, and that'll be Wednesday night at 9 p.m., we'll see you. Y'all take care now, and go Tigers!